Okay,
I'm
we
ready.
are back, for another this Nigerian Prince thing. I mean, like when I type in Nigerian Prince, it's not even really the movie that comes up. Okay, so fine.
Of course not.
It's like
How would
advanced
the movie?
scam. What does Nigerian
How
Prince mean?
Wait. Do you know just now, as you said Nigerian Prince a few times, I got the meaning. As I now know what they mean, is the scamming thing, right?
Yes.
Oh my God. I was actually thinking about it like, oh, he considers himself too big for Niger. That's why they call him Nigerian Prince. It didn't occur to me that, oh, what they mean is scamming.
Yep. That's it.
Wow. It was so insightful on Lost Okorochi. And then this one went right over.
The obvious.
How did that happen?
It was right in front of me. And I missed it.
That is so funny. Yeah, it's those I do not come to you by chance emails. I am a Nigerian Prince. Yes. Okay. All right, let's start.
Before passing, my husband left me with $10 million. I have decided to donate the money to a kind-hearted individual. God bless. Mrs. Angeliki Papa Michael.
What am I doing here?
You're there to learn who you are and where you're from.
I'm not Nigerian. I'm American. I want to go home.
Where are you going?
To upgrade my return flight.
Your mother consulted the day you arrived.
Mom, you lied to me. Can I please come home?
My mother does not usually have guests. My name is Pius.
So what do you do for a living?
I think you know what I do. Are we good? Yes. Print your name, sign a date. It's yours.
Drive! You're a Nigerian scammer.
You can just say scammer. Scamming is a game. People are fools. Anyone can fall for scams.
I'm speechless.
Anyone. I owe someone.
I give you a second chance. 4 million in 5 days.
You need money. I can help you scam. All I want to return is a plane ticket home. How much do you need?
This thing you're doing, you will not succeed.
The boy is American, correct? Are you trying to scam him?
Should I be worried?
Trust me. You should stop while you still have your head. He will kill you whether you find the money or not.
Suspect is heading downstairs.
Hey! What's going on?
It is not safe. If you want to go back home, it is now or never.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Non-Expert Guide to African TV and Film. We are here, and when I say we, I mean me and my co-non-experts, my co-hosts,
That's it.
Ibiemi and Tolu.
Hello, people.
Today we're discussing Nigerian culture that we have exported. Well, 419 scams.
My God.
Nigerian princes. All those emails you received, there's a movie about them.
Yes, we are talking about Nigerian Prince today. But before we go there, let's talk about our social media real quick. If you are on Instagram, follow us at Let's Stream Africa. Just one S in there. Let's Stream Africa. If you're on Facebook, we are the Non-Expert Guide to African TV and Film. Follow us, like our page. And if you're on YouTube, we have a YouTube channel. If you're on YouTube. Let's Stream Africa. The Non-Expert Guide to African TV and Film. All right, let's go. So Nigerian Prince. I'm gonna read a quick synopsis and then we will head into it. All right. It's directed by Faraday Okoro, starring Antonio J. Bell, Chinaza Uche, Tina Mba. After being sent to Nigeria against his will, a stubborn Nigerian-American teenager joins forces with an internet scammer to return to the United States. So let's jump into it. Let's talk what we liked. What did the film do well? EBME, you want to start?
Yeah, so I think it's the theme or the central topic. I think is quite interesting, which is a Nigerian-born American or whatever. Anyway,
Nigerian-American.
A Nigerian-American
Teenager.
who obviously is torn between two worlds and two cultures, and one world or one culture is now being forced on him, and he's been sent back home. So this is a story that is quite, I don't know if it happens a lot now, but it certainly did used to happen some 10, 15, maybe 20 years back a lot, where parents who got scared or frustrated with the way their kids were behaving or turning out felt that the Western influence was too strong and negative for them home. So it's a real story to tell. And I thought, it was good that they wanted to deal with that topic, whether they dealt with it properly or not, and what the risks of that would be. Actually, yeah, in some sense, they did deal with it quite well, I suppose. There are lots of things that they could have talked about, but they talked about internet scamming as one of the risks or something of sending a child to Nigeria. I don't know. But yeah, I think the central topic, which was a Nigerian-American being sent home because the influence of the West on the child was not what the parents wanted, and they sent him home to go and get some grounding, is a very, very common story that needed to be told. So I'm glad that they're telling that story.
All right, Tolu, what did you like?
I thought it was very, like Ibiemi said, that story of, you're being sent home to Nigeria to straighten you out. But I like the twist was that, you can run into some not so savory characters here too. And what makes it even worse is that those snake in the grasses will be your family members. So I like that sort of twist. I think I really felt the poor boy's fish out of water experience coming home to Nigeria with no light, no internet, all sorts of shenanigans going on, trying to get him into a school. I thought the actor who portrayed the high school student, I can't remember his name, apologies, he did a really great job. And I thought that, I really felt the scamming. They got a lot of the scamming parts of it right. So I thought it was, I think from overall point of view, I liked a lot of things that they did in the movie.
Right.
I've got a question before you answer that question about plots or what you liked about it, Lola. Was the story about scamming, i.e. the name Nigerian Prince, or was the story about a child who was now torn, who was sent home to a culture that he didn't understand, or to a country that he didn't recognize or identify with, and his struggles? Or was it both? I mean, clearly it was both. But what do you think they were actually trying to deal with? Were they trying to portray, because the title is Nigerian Prince, which in one, you would think, okay, that's what they want to talk about. They want to talk about the internet scamming. And
That's
this story of this boy is only ancillary to that.
The teenager wasn't the lead character, though, was he? The film wasn't actually his story. It was his cousin's story.
Was it not?
That's the thing. It felt more like the teenager story. His name is Eze. It felt like more like Eze's story than Pius. You're right, Ibiemi. That is, whose story was it? Yeah. So so I think it was supposed to be about scamming because so on the one hand, you have this teenager who goes back home and then meets his cousin who's a scammer and then decides to help his cousin, right? So that he can get a ticket back home. But when I think about the film, I do think more of Eze, the teenager, and I think more about his struggle,
Yes. But if you think about it, the character development and all the conflict that was introduced and all of that was mainly around Pius.
Pius was the lead character in this film.
You see, even we can't decide who was the lead character. So I think the story was about Eze, but the focus was on Pius. That's the way I feel. So that's why the plot for me, so when I was talking about the plot, you noticed I didn't talk about the internet scamming. I was talking about the story of Eze.
Mm.
You know, but if Tolu was going to talk about the plot and what the central theme of it was, you would say scamming. And the title does suggest that she would be right. But there was something about the way it was presented that has now caused this conundrum, or this whose story was it? So it's important, this storytelling thing, isn't it? It's quite weird how we can be looking at the same thing and wondering whose story it was. But if you think about it, Eze didn't really, what happened? I mean, they could have pursued love interests on his part. What else?
Didn't.
You know, they didn't. They not much. If you think about it, not much happened to him. He just seems to be living in
the story
Pius's.
was driven by Pius. Everything that moved the plot and the story forward was Pius. It was Pius's interactions. Pius getting, he was his problems. He started off the movie, kicked off the movie. So Pius was really the driver of a lot of the conflict, and even the story ended with Pius.
True.
It didn't end, so it began and ended with. So it's supposedly secondary character.
I
don't remember. For me, I feel like
when he was selling the car. He was selling the car.
The first time.
Oh yes, that's true. I feel like I just got so engrossed and emotionally connected with Eze.
Yeah,
yes. And so I kind of forgot about Pius actually. Wow. Okay, that is true. That's true. Wow.
Wow. Because so was that deliberate, or was that just something that they could have worked?
Unintentional?
Yes.
And I will say this, and I got this criticism as well for my film. I know at least two people said, one person that I didn't know and one person that I knew was like, I didn't know whose story it was. Was it the mother? Was it the daughter? And I totally see that. And now I see that as well, Yeah. I totally see that. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so it could have been, on my part, it was completely unintentional. To be honest, I thought it was the mother's story. But then there's all these other things going on with these other characters. And people are like, wait, whose story is it? Interesting. Okay. Anyway, all right. I'll talk about what I liked about it. It was entertaining.
Eze, obviously.
Well, I liked Eze. I was with Eze, man. And I was just like, how is this boy going to get back to the United States of America? Now, I know a little tidbit because I watched this film. The first time I watched it was at a film festival. I can't remember if it was Tribeca or if it was New York Film Festival, one of them. And the director was there. He got a grant from AT&T, I believe. He won a competition to do this film. And he got $1 million. So one of the executive producers is Spike Lee. B. Bandele is one of the executive producers. So Faraday Okoro, who co-wrote it and directed it, the same thing happened to him. He was sent to Nigeria as a teenager. I can't remember why or what happened, from the US and adjusting to Nigeria life and all that. I don't think the scamming part, though, was part of it. I don't remember. I think that might have just been added to it, but definitely he had that experience of being sent back home.
I always wonder, would we consider that child abuse in this day and age?
Yes. I would consider it child abuse. I'm sorry.
You think
no, not child abuse. I would consider it neglect.
Or endangerment or whatever.
Or endangerment.
So I thought the film was entertaining. It was entertaining. I wanted to know what would happen. What would happen to Pius? What would happen to Eze? It was storytelling. I don't think it was the deepest story I'd ever seen.
No.
But it was, it moved along. I just felt like it was entertaining. I mean, I would say that for me, it was entertaining, and that's what I would say.
So the question you asked me was, why do I think it's child endangerment?
Oh, yeah? Sorry. Yes.
I don't think so if you're taking him away from an environment where you think he's unsafe and is learning bad habits and then you put him with a woman whose only child is an internet scammer. So who are you saying that you're such a bad parent that this woman who couldn't raise her one child to be responsible should now be responsible for your child? And that woman, her character, Auntie Grace's character, was actually, she was nearly
written.
I don't even know that it's poorly written, but I actually, not like I know people like that, but I can actually imagine that. The scene where she said, I am not your mother. I am not your mother, and the next time you'll be boiling water. That's a threat. But then the person that would say that's not somebody that actually cares for you.
I know, right?
So I don't. So for me, it was either she was going to be evil or not. You can't say things like, "I am not your mother," and next time it will be hot water. I'm like, I'm sorry. If it was me,
but we say things
if it was
like
me,
that.
my child is on the next flight. Eh?
But we say things like that, EBME. We whip children. We do those kinds of things. Yeah.
Well, it's true, Sha. Was it Tolu that said, what was it that you said the other day
Casual
about
cruelty.
casual cruelty to children? I mean, well, you're right. She might not have meant it, but you just say things like that. It's casual. You say it as a sort of loose threats. You expect them to know that it's not going to happen, but it's
children believe
evil.
these things. Yeah,
it's scary. I mean, I can't imagine someone saying that to me. I'm a teenager who's lived my life completely in one part of the world, and then I come to Nigeria and you now say things like that to me. That was, no, I'm sorry.
That would be very traumatic. Yeah.
The women all of them, including the girl who was helping him, none of them were written with a kind eye at all. Not a single one. Even the girl who was walking him to school. It was just, I mean, he doesn't, it's not. His mother was, very dismissive. She's a liar. She sent him all this way and told him that she lied to him to get him on the plane or whatever. His aunt was the most unsympathetic human being who, I guess, to be fair, at home, we have a lot of disdain for what they call them, people who come
privileged children.
Who come from the US and come to stay with us. So it's like, why are you so hung up on all of these things? And, don't you know how to take a shower with a bucket when somebody has never seen a bucket before in their lives to take a bath? I mean, and so that's why it felt very real in the sense that these are not surprising emotions that we see or expressions of Nigerianisms that we experience or some people have experienced. I just I don't know. Anyway, you guys go on.
I think I thought it was real. I thought those things can happen. And I was like, why is she sharing a bed? She doesn't have any other bed in that house that she has to be sharing. I don't remember how old Eze was supposed to be, but really?
He's a teenager. I mean, maybe he's 14 or 15.
Exactly.
Sleep on the couch and he can sleep, well, I guess, or even sleep on a mattress on the floor.
Exactly.
Whatever.
So she just seemed very uninterested. And this is what I mean about these are things that we do. She seemed very uninterested in what he wanted as an individual. And I feel like that
welfare.
Or his I don't agree there. I think
not welfare.
Okay.
She seemed uninterested in what was going on in his mind.
Yes.
And what he was experiencing. She seemed very, very unsympathetic and very, like you said, uninterested.
Yes, but I feel like that's very typical of a certain generation where it's just like, I'm here to make sure you have food,
get on with it,
shelter, and that's it. I don't care about whether you're depressed or whether somebody is bullying you in school. You're right. I mean, at first when you first said child abuse or even child neglect, I didn't know that I agreed. But now I think about it, I don't think people are really thinking about what is this boy going to Nigeria? Where is he going to stay? Who's going to be with him? Now, I was going to say the Auntie Grace. Was that her name? Yeah,
Grace.
So at the same time, but she cares for him. She's going to go and haggle with the school to get him in. She's like, oh yeah, get dressed, follow me. So there's a love there, but it's the way it's expressed, and it's brutal. Huh?
It's like brusque and brutal, very...
Yes! I really liked, the scene at the end where she came and got him from the airport touched me in a way. The way he just kind of follows her obediently, because I think he himself realizes that this Pius, I don't know what he's doing, and it's safer with Auntie Grace, who is a little crazy, but I don't know. That's how I felt.
But also, in a sense, I understand Pius's almost disdain and rebellion as well.
Yeah.
That kind of parenting style or adulting style, it can cause, rebellion, or it can cause forced or fake compliance. Or actually it can whittle away at a person's individuality and their own self-confidence and all of that. It hardly ever brings about, I don't know, what do I know about life? Who have I raised? But from my own perspective,
you
I
have
don't think that's
children.
yeah, but I mean, they're not, I mean, I can't point at them and say, look at how perfectly they've turned out. I mean, they're perfect now and they will be perfect forever. Amen. But, you know, it's easier said than done. But the point is this, I don't think that style brings out the best in people, essentially. And you can see that Pius really, really doesn't like her. And they never got along. And even the way she looked at him, even she had given up on him, which in a sense, you know, I can't imagine. I mean, I can imagine parents trying their best and losing hope. But I mean, giving up on a child completely to the extent that, I don't know.
Well, when you're scamming people, I don't know, it might be a little tough.
I was going to say, had she really, because he had free reign of her house. He was coming in and going out, whatever. I mean,
I'll say something.
Like a lot of Nigerians, your child is still your child, whatever, no matter how bad they are. And so I think she still had a lot of affection for her son, but she was very clear-eyed about who he was and what he was doing. And if you may, I mean, going back to your point about, you know, was she the best person to send your son to? If she had so many issues raising her own son, I mean, why would you think her parenting style would be the kind of environment? But then again, I guess that's when Nigerians abroad, we think that strictness is what makes us perform better when we go to the US and to the UK. When people talk about Nigerians being the most educated immigrant group, the thing is that's parents being strict and, you know, domineering that makes their children perform better abroad. I don't know. Nobody's researching this stuff, but it's a viewpoint we have, and so maybe that's what he was hoping for when she sent him back. But his mother also was quite neglectful. She wouldn't take his calls. His dad was quite neglectful. He wouldn't take his calls either. So he came. I mean, the parents were not innocent in his predicament and how he got to be where he was. So. But like a lot of things, responsibility is always somebody else's when it comes to Africans and their children. So
that's very interesting. Yeah. Because even when he was planning to go back, I'm like, where are you going? I mean, in the end, maybe Auntie Grace is really who you need to stay with because neither one of your parents wants you to come back, you know? And yeah, I felt for Eze. And I think maybe that's why. And he's young, you know? And I was just like, what's going to happen to Eze? Anyway, let's move on. Huh?
I said he would still have to. I guess he would have gone to his parents' house because he was still legally a minor. He would have had to go to a parents' house. Yeah. I mean, otherwise.
Yeah.
What did she go? He would have gone to his mother's house, and what would she have done? Kicked him out?
That'd be true.
Yes, she could have.
Well, true. Parents in the US do kick out minors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the abroad.
In the abroad, okay. But I like the point that you made about the fact that Pius still had, you know, free reign, and his mother knew that he came to the house, you know, and the fact that she hadn't changed locks and all that stuff. It does mean that, like, you know, you have a place to come back to. I like that. I like that.
Plot-wise, I love the conversation. The scene at the end where Pius takes his cousin's passports and flies off. I wanted to ask, because I'm not a citizen, I don't know anybody who's a citizen, but is there no border control check that corroborates that the passport you're flying into the country with is actually your passport?
Okay, so you said you don't know anybody that's a citizen, but I am. So you know me.
Sorry.
I'm like, me?
I'm here.
You know, when we're talking about this, I don't remember, like when you're coming back into the country, so that I mean, so now there are different ways, right? And but the most traditional way is, there's a kiosk with the immigration officer You go there, you fill out a form or something, you hand over your passport. I think they take a picture of you. I don't think they do a fingerprint, but they look at you and they look at the passport. Will they let him in? I don't know. Will he even get on the plane? I mean, it's possible, yes, but I don't know what happens to him when he gets to the US, if he makes it that far. I don't know.
I don't. It's biodata now, though, isn't it? So he's not going to get far. He's not going to. He can't do it. Those things cannot be done now.
That's what I thought, because the way after 9/11, they've closed all these loopholes that you could get away with when, you know, things were a little bit more relaxed 20 years ago.
Scammers can get through things.
No, so the only way you can get through it is if you forge the entire. Well, I'm not saying the only way. What do I know? But I think the only way if you have to forge the entire passport. You cannot use somebody else's passport because that person has biodata that is stored, and they will check your fingerprints.
That's true.
The things are taking your pictures. They're not just taking your pictures. They are doing facial recognition, scanning, and all of that as well. So, hello anywhere. Mutala lo made. It's not going to pass Mutala.
Like a huge gaping plot point for me, because that dude is not going to get fired. Just going to get himself landed in jail, and, you know, either, in fact, he just deported back to Nigeria and straight to Kirikiri. So I don't know why. And to me, that showed an unfamiliarity with, like, somebody didn't do their research.
But they never did say he made it, though.
Exactly. It doesn't say anything about that.
They just left it open. They just left it open there. They never did say he made it.
But Pius is a smart guy, though. Do you really think that that's a decision he would make? Like, that's
Pius is not a smart guy. Pius is a greedy, compulsive liar who has an actual problem. He's like it's almost like someone who has a gambling addict. Who has a gambling addiction. He's not a clever guy. He's not a clever guy. He's compulsive, and he takes some really, really big risks, and sometimes those risks pay off, but not because they were planned and properly thought through. For example, the very first scam he did, where he stole the money, that was a big risk, made a lot of money, but big thing he didn't consider was that's the Indian guy at the start would know how to work the system to get back at him. Yeah. Not only did he lose the money eventually, I suppose, he also then had to pay that. No, he wasn't a smart guy.
You're right. He wasn't. You're right.
I wasn't happy with Pius' accent, though.
You weren't happy with what?
Pius' accent. What was up with that?
It wasn't Nigerian enough. Sorry.
Yeah. And well, he's American.
Yeah, I could tell. That's my you can tell. I mean, you know, we know, like, even I get that complaint that my accent is too American. Whatever. Like, it just immediately, I could tell that he was trying to put on an accent. And the way he spoke, his cadence was so off. And he kept throwing me each time because there are ways that Nigerians speak that he was so slow and deliberate about, that he was trying to get that accent out, that just threw for me. But other than that, he was fine.
I thought his acting was very good because I could sense his greed, his discomfort, his
mannerisms, you know,
his drive, his hunger. All of that I could sense, and I really, really disliked his character. I kind of felt pity for him, but I could just almost see the greed in his eyes and how he was such a manipulative person. Oh, it's a horrible. And I really felt for Eze, especially that scene where he was saying, call the Australian guy. It was like someone who was on drugs. I thought it was very compelling because obviously he was quite desperate and he knew that his life depended on it. And of course his greed was there and he was willing to step over anyone and use anyone to get what he wanted. So, and then of course the end as well, where he was trying to escape using the boy's passports. So all of that, I thought his acting was very good. I thought Eze's acting was quite good as well. And so was Auntie Grace's. And those are, I suppose, the three main characters.
Yeah.
The Aussie guy, was he Australian? Yeah, he was Australian, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, his character was Australian. Yeah.
I thought it was actually quite good. He seemed like the kind of, he had that sort of white Oyinbo person cockiness, yeah, about him. But
Yeah.
also, Oyinbo person cockiness, like I can also play the system in Africa. But that last scene where he got caught, I didn't expect that from him at all.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that he would go and meet Eze. If you want to meet me, you come and meet me where I am in my office. I'm not running around one small boy in Lagos.
Yeah.
But this is what happens, right? There's a lot of trust built into being an American, being a young kid that would lower his guard to send him to meet a kid. When you meet a child in a strange place with a strange man, all of those bells should have started ringing. But again, so people can get complacent, and I believe that whole scenario where, but nobody should, one of the biggest warnings my parents ever gave is never carry anything for anybody you don't know. And yeah, he obviously learned that lesson the hard way. But yeah, I thought all of that whole scenario was very believable because Eze was a child who he helped before, and was he would have seemed to be somebody in need. And don't forget that he comes from a society where you actually help people. He's not Nigerian.
But
Nigerians help people too.
No. But here's the thing. But he's been in Nigeria long enough to be able to have confidence enough to go and shake up that guy that took the $10 from Eze. So for me, that shows someone who, yes, he's Australian, but he's not stupid. He knows the Nigerian way. So I didn't like that thing that happened at the end. I think I found another way.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was convincing. I mean, the acting was convincing. It's possible. But when I think about he seemed like too sharp a guy to have fallen for that route.
Exactly.
But yeah.
He's coming, and he's not there. He's almost here. He's just outside. That doesn't make any sense to me. I think he didn't have a clean way to close the story. So everything.
But that scene was actually well.
Do you think it was? I just thought, like, at that point when they were saying, "Oh, he's coming. He's just waiting for you outside. Just take this box to him." I just felt that was such a weird way to.
Yeah.
After that whole ending, last maybe 10-15 minutes of the movie just didn't sit well with me.
It felt to me like we need to end this thing and let's figure out a way to. Yeah. So
I also didn't understand the scene where he went into that big house and he was talking to Baba and there was EFCC around and Baba was telling. The conversation made sense because that conversation was a warning, which obviously because of his greed and his compulsion, he didn't heed. But I didn't. Why the big house and the EFCC something and I don't know.
Why kill friend?
Hey, I didn't even understand how that was his friend. I didn't. I was like, okay, who's this random person sitting down there? I knew who he was, but then it didn't mean anything to me.
Wait, what scene are you guys talking about now?
Aha, you see. They killed some. The police officer.
Okay, killed one of his friends. Yeah.
But we didn't really know him as a friend. We didn't really have that connection where we'd be like, they killed that his friend.
Yeah.
It was some guy that was sitting down there who, if you weren't paying attention, that guy
missed him completely.
Yeah. Okay, so quick thing too. One criticism it had was that, okay, here we go again. This is the kind of film that the West likes to show, showing Nigeria. We don't have very much time, so we can't spend very much time on this. But what did you think about that?
Again, because to me, because I saw the story from Eze's perspective, I didn't see it as another scamming story.
Totally.
So I don't see that.
Okay.
I think having that is a factor, like totally from a different angle, and I think we should always try and explore telling the totality of our existence, good and bad.
All right, I like that. Okay, well, thank you very much, everyone. This is another episode of the Non-Expert Guide to African TV and Film. We just watched Nigerian Prince and just talked about it. See you next time.
Peace.
Peace.